All right, they drew the Preakness last night. The past performances are out. We're going to take a look at them. We're going to start with the number one, Goal Oriented for Bob Baffert. This horse just debuted on April 6th. I mean, that's what, 37 days ago. So this horse is going from a 6 furlong maiden debut 37 days ago. Now he's in the Preakness and has the rail. And the manager for SF Racing, Tom Ryan, I don't think he was too happy with drawing the rail. You see this tweet here from Tom Ryan. He says 180 to 1. The odds that the same trainer draws the one post with two individual horses in the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. Citizen Bowl, of course, drew the rail in the Derby. Now Goal Oriented has the rail draw in the Preakness. And part of the reason why I'm sure they were upset about the draw is the fact that Goal Oriented, in his debut, he showed that he does not like Kickback. As soon as the dirt started to hit him in the face, you see here it says climbed. I mean, he started climbing, throwing his face, and losing his action. They had to. Juan Hernandez made a very smart, very obvious, but very smart move to immediately get him out into the clear. And once he got it out into the clear, he had to come wide, but he won the race very, very nicely. Won by 3.25 lengths. The second place horse come back to win. In fact, there's been 6 horses that have run back from this maiden race. 4 of the 6 won their next start, and 1 was second. So 4 wins from 6 to come back, 1 second. So that was a really solid debut race at Santa Anita. And here's footage from Goal Oriented's debut race. Now, he's the number 3 back here in last, and this is when he starts to get the kickback, and watch how he reacts to it. You see him climbing and throwing his head there. Does not want any of that dirt in his face. And this does not stop until he's angled out into the clear away from the dirt. So that's going to cause some problems when you got the rail. Because if you get crossed and cleared on, you're going to have to deal with a lot of dirt in your face. All right, I'm going to show you the debut of Goal Oriented because it was a real impressive performance once he got out into the clear.
24th, about 5 lengths off the leaders. Down at the rail, Concord Bridge. Day and Age is second to last, and the favorite Goal Oriented is last. He's starting to pick it up a bit now, and he's guided to the outside. They move into the far turn. It's Sierra Silver in front, a half length, pressed by Train the Trainer in second. Concord Bridge right there in third. Then comes Varney moving up on the outside to take that third spot, and Goal Oriented is underway fifth, has 5 to make up. Big gap to Pacific Quest and Day and Age. Train the Trainer with a 1/4 mile to go is just in front. Sierra Silver trying to fight back second. Varney, and here's Goal Oriented, and Goal Oriented just kicked it in to another gear. Goal Oriented will cruise on by the top pair. A good-looking performance from Goal Oriented. Goal Oriented strides out to score by 3.5, and he wants to keep on going. Train the Trainer second.
Goal Oriented's maiden win, his debut win on April 6th. He come back on Kentucky Derby Day, May 3rd, on the Kentucky Derby undercard and was stretched out to 1.16 miles. And he wasn't fast enough to make the early lead in this race, but Flavien Prat just kept sending him till he got there. And once he got there, he rolled around there, only won by 3/4 of a length, but was still a real solid performance. Goldman is faced with a very tall task here. He's only 37 days removed from his debut race, which was only 6 furlongs. But no one could put the screws to him as fast as Baffert can. And Baffert's really pressing it to make this race. And this is a very talented horse, a real good prospect. I mean, his debut was excellent. His second start was quite good. And his Damn Busy Caroline was stakes placed at 1.5 miles. And she was by a Fleet Alex who won the Belmont Stakes going away at 1.5 miles. So there is a lot of distance pedigree there. The problem is goal-oriented, I think, has got to get to the lead in this race. I mean, they can't mess. If they were drawn outside, they could stalk in the clear if they wanted to. But from the rail, and especially knowing Baffert's background as a quarter horse trainer, he likes his horses aggressively ridden from the gates. And I don't know if goal-oriented's got enough early speed to get loose in this race, because there's other speeds here, but he needs to get loose on the lead. If he does get loose on the lead, he's got a huge shot to pull off the upset. But the odds of that happening seem, I wouldn't say unlikely, but not so good. I mean, he is going to have to break sharp from the inside and really be ridden more aggressively early than Flavien Prat's used to in order to win that race into the first turn. Now, if he does that without running too fast fractions, he is a contender to win this. But a lot of things have to go right. Number 2 is the Mighty Journalism for Michael McCarthy, who's won the Preakness before. And, I mean, just a stick out on numbers, 108, 102, 102. If you go up here and you look at what the Preakness has been won by in recent editions, a 101 is your average Preakness winning figure over like the last 10 years or so. So any one of his last 3 races exceed the par figure for the race. And Journalism was a very, very good second in the Kentucky Derby. His connections, I think, wanted him closer to the pace than he really should have been. I think they should have just let him settle back, and they might run into that same trap again here in the Preakness, where they find themselves back a little further than they think they should be, and they're a little too aggressive. But really, this race is all about, can Journalism run to his recent races? Because if he does, he's going to win this race. It's just flat out, plain and simple. If he runs to his recent races, he's going to win. Now, horses coming back in the Preakness from the Kentucky Derby historically, have been very, very strong performers. The Preakness used to be an extremely formful race. Now, you haven't had a favorite win the race since 2018, and a lot of rule changes have made it tougher for horses coming back on short rest. I mean, you go back to when Big Brown won this race. He got Winstrol injections after the Derby. That's a powerful steroid, Winstrol, and you can't give him steroids for this race. Now, even something as simple as withdrawal times from therapeutic medications and electrolytes with the new HISA stuff is a challenge for horses coming back in 2 weeks. But Journalism, he's got a fire. If he runs to his typical race, he wins this. It's just, you're betting, if you're betting him to win, you're betting on him to fire. That to me is the only doubt with Journalism. Will he run to his recent performances, or will the quick turnaround catch him? The number 3 is American Promise for D. Wayne Lucas. This horse was 16th, beaten 38 lengths in the Kentucky Derby, but that was like a total throwout. I mean, he's a speed horse. He broke from post 4, and Citizen Bull really just says bump, but he got crossed and cleared on immediately, bumped pretty hard, had to go down into the rail, was in tight, and then was like wedged in between horses, pressing a pace that collapsed. I mean, you could throw out the Derby. The problem is he's got 2 good races. They're these 2 races with the 95 buyers, but they came with pretty comfortable trips. And in his maiden win, he had a good bug on Tyler Bacon, he's not a bug anymore, but he was at that time, getting 5 pounds, and in at 115 pounds, he made the lead in the mud. Only won by a length and a half, but Publisher, the horse that was second, ended up finishing second in the Arkansas Derby later on, and it was 19 and a half lengths from second to third. So that was a good performance by American Promise, and so was his Virginia Derby. He won by 7 3/4 lengths over Render Judgment, who finished 17th in the Kentucky Derby. But American Promise might be able to get back to this 95, and that might put him on the ticket, but he is not a win contender for me. Number 4 is Heart of Honor. We got a horse coming in from the UAE Derby. Finished a nose behind Admire Daytona, who finished dead last in the Kentucky Derby. 159 for a mile and 3/16. It was a very slow time. By comparison, the Japanese horse Derma Sotagake won that race in 155 and change 2 years earlier over a track that really didn't appear to be any faster than it was, on Dubai World Cup Day 2025. So, Heart of Honor, there are some things to like watching his replays, but he's coming out of slow races, and you just don't take foreign shippers on the dirt unless they've shown, some real ability in running fast races. You don't want him coming out of slow races. So Heart of Honor is just not for me. I mean, I was getting a little too deep into his replays and liking some things, but the reality is he's just not fast enough. And speaking of not fast enough, the number 5 Pay Billy, real nice horse who's been running in Maryland recently, and he's got 4 wins and a nose second in his last 5 starts. But he's been facing much lesser competition, and he's been up close to these pretty easy paces. And he doesn't have like this big move. He just really grinds. He's a grinded out type horse. In this race, he's biting off more than he can chew. He's going to be in with horses much quicker early. He's going to find himself back much further than usual. He doesn't have like a big acceleration to get into the race. He's just a grinder. He's a nice little horse, a heck of a nice Maryland horse, but Pay Billy is just biting off more than he can chew here, and I don't see him getting anything. River Thames is the 6 for Todd Pletcher. This horse is sired by McLean's Music out of a discreet cat mare named Proportionality, she made 22 starts in her career, and they were all at sprint distances. McLean's Music, the sire, only made 1 start in his career, and it was an amazing performance at 6 furlongs. I mean, this horse has got a 6 to 7 furlong pedigree. I mean, he's bred to be a phenomenal sprinter. He's got so much ability that Pletcher's been trying to make him into a classic horse, keep stretching him out from 6 to a mile and a 16th to a mile and an eighth. This is going to be a mile and 3/16. I think this is a very, very, very nice horse. He just wants to go about 7 furlongs. I'm not crazy on him in this race just because he's going to have to deal with other pace horses. It'd be one thing if he could go to the lead and back down the pace, and maybe then he can squeeze out a little extra distance. But he's going to have to run hard pretty much the whole way here. And he's just simply not bred for this distance. I think this is going to be a very, very nice horse when he's cut back to sprints. I mean, like a great 7 furlong horse, maybe. Number 7 is Sandman. And if you like him in this race, the angle that you got to use is that maybe this horse just hates Churchill Downs for some reason. I mean, if you look, his 4 worst races were the 4 races he run at Churchill Downs. In his debut, they opened him up at even money at Churchill Downs. He backed up and finished 11 and a half lengths back in 5th. Went to Saratoga, won nicely. Come back to Churchill Downs, and it's another 5th, beaten double-digit lengths in the Iroquois. Then, he run 3rd, beaten only 5 1/4 in the street sense to Sovereignty. So it's not a bad performance, but it was, only a 79 figure. There was nothing to really write home about as far as the trip went. He improved 10 points going to Oaklawn and just improved 10 points from there more while he was at Oaklawn. And then come back to Churchill in the Kentucky Derby and got beat double digits again. So if you're playing this horse, I think you really have to play him under the notion that he just hates something about Churchill Downs. Every now and then you see these horses for the courses. Like Congaree was a horse for the course at Aqueduct. Every time Congaree would run at Aqueduct, he'd run just run amazing races. And as far as, Sandman, he might be an anti-horse for course And Churchill being, I don't know what he doesn't like about Churchill. I mean, the surface is not very different from Oaklawn or Saratoga. But maybe it's something about the stall he's in, the barn he's in, who knows. But to me, this is a horse that's been getting great setup after great setup. In the Kentucky Derby, he got a great pace setup. In the Arkansas Derby, they went 45-1. It was a war out there between the Baffert-trained cornucopian. I call him Copernicus the last time, because the Baffert-trained cornucopian and Speed King got in a crazy speed duel, and they got into a crazy speed duel, and Sandman picked up the pieces with the maiden publisher running second. So he's been getting all these fast paces. Maybe he gets his fifth straight race with a great setup, fast pace. We'll see what happens there. Sandman, I'm going to play against him again. But if you are looking for, hope with him, maybe he just hates Churchill Downs. For what reason? I don't know. I shouldn't even speculate on what reason why he wouldn't like Churchill Downs. But I mean, that's the only thing I could see that makes, the only angle that I could see that would make me want to bet on him. And it's an angle that there may be something to it, but I usually don't go for that angle. So, I mean, that's just not my kind of horse. The number 8 is Clever Again for Steve Asmussen. Clever Again's Damn Flattering was a stakes winner in Europe at 1.5 miles. So the Dam here could stay 1.5 miles by a Triple Crown winning sire, an American Pharaoh. And they actually debuted this horse at 4.5 furlongs at Keeneland. And he showed speed and was on the pace battling like him and Dream Away, who's this Wesley Ward horse. They bet him to 2-5 in this race. And him and Dream Away hooked up the whole way. And, they were head and head the entire race. But Clever Again, something happened. He was away for over 10 months. But he come back and had a nice maiden win at Oaklawn. And then last time in the Hot Springs, he got the lead going 1 mile without a whole lot of pressure. He really didn't get any pressure at all, but he run an excellent race in there. And, as you see, he got the 101, that's basically a par winning figure for the Preakness. So it's not so much that he has to improve. He doesn't really have to improve. It's just that race was at 1 mile where he got an easy lead. Now he's drawn out in the 8-hole. He's got 4 speeds inside of him, and he's going to have to go a very hard 1 mile and 3/16 here, and he's probably not going to get to the lead where he wants to get to the lead. Now, if this horse breaks sharp and is able to clear off and set the pace, and especially if he sets the pace without going too fast, he can flat out win. I mean, he can even beat Journalism with Journalism's typical race if, and this is a huge if he breaks sharp, gets the lead, and doesn't go fast. Now, the likelihood of that occurring, I would say, is not very good. But Clever Again certainly has talent, and he's got a puncher's chance in this race. I give him a puncher's chance. And finally, the number 9 is Gosker for Brendan Walsh. And this was a horse I made a real nice bet on in the Lexington Stakes, and he won it nice by a couple lengths. But he is biting off more than he can chew here. That wasn't a tough field in the Lexington. I was pretty pleased with the ride I got that day, and he's got a tall order breaking from the outside. He gets an aggressive rider in Louis Saez, probably the best blast off from the gate speed rider that there is at the big tracks, and he may show surprising speed with Saez on him, but Gosker is biting off more than he can chew in this race. So that is the field for the Preakness, and it's a real simple question. Do you believe Journalism can run back to any of his recent 3 races? If he runs back to those 3 races, he will flat out win this race. The only real valid reason for going against Journalism in this race is that you think that the 2-week turnaround is going to be too much to ask. And of course, the odds are going to be short, but I mean, this horse, if this was a race run on a Wednesday, and it wasn't some famous race, Journalism would probably be 1-2 or 3-5 in this race. They just, everything gets bet in the Preakness. Every horse takes some money. You've got a lot of casuals and novices, and people betting names and colors and whatever. So journalism obviously is going to be a short price, but certainly not as short a price as he would be if this was just some random race carded on a Wednesday. I mean, if they run this race Wednesday at Pimlico and they don't name it the Preakness, he's 1-2 or 3-5 in this race. But anyway, that's my quick preview of the Preakness. They just drew this race. We'll have time this week. We'll post our selections and everything, and so you could look forward to that. But really, it's the fundamental question of this race is, can journalism run to his recent races? And if you believe the answer is yes, I mean, there's just really not much you can do with this race from a betting standpoint. Hope you enjoyed the video, everyone. Have a nice day.